Hey guys, welcome to episode 12 of Ask Jungle Scout. I'm your host Lenny, and it's been a big week at Jungle Scout. We recently just attended the Canton Fair and have uploaded a short video from that one, so make sure you check that out on our channel. And as always, make sure you pop your questions in the comment section below if you'd like me to answer them. So the first question is from A. Dillon. What if someone contacts your manufacturer and your manufacturer gives the same product to someone else and sells it under your listing for less? It's your fault if the item is deemed inauthentic? Thanks for the question, and I can understand how this could be a concern. Fortunately, I've never seen this happen or have had it happen to me. However, I have read a couple of cases where this has happened to other sellers. If your manufacturer was to sell your product with your brand on it to someone else, I don't know that there's much that you can do about it afterwards. However, the best thing here is to prevent it from happening in the first place. That's why brand registry is important. It proves that you are the legitimate manufacturer of your brand. As of this point in time, Amazon has closed registrations for brand registry and they're reopening it in May. Now, there's a lot of talk about needing a trademark in order to utilize this new brand registry. However, I don't want to go into that because we don't have enough information. But what I would say is that when the new brand registry does come out, it's well worth your time putting in an application, in my opinion. In this situation where someone else is selling your branded product and you owned a trademark for that brand, I think it would be much easier to prove to Amazon that you are the authentic owner. So what do you do in the meantime, however? If you can't afford a trademark or perhaps you've got a pending registration, what do you do in that period to stay protected? Well, honestly, if I've just launched a product, I'm really not going to be too worried about it. I can't see why anyone would try to sell my branded product if I've got 0 reviews or 5 or 10 reviews. People look to hijack listings that are doing very, very well, have a high number of reviews in most cases. So not having a trademark and brand registry wouldn't stop me from getting started. And then I would just introduce that in as soon as it's logistically possible. The next question is from Lisa. My question is about seller account, storefront name, and branding. Let's say I'm interested in looking for products in home and patio, yoga, and educational toy spaces. Those 3 items are not related and will have a different brand names, correct? Do I have to keep my storefront name very generic so I can put various brands underneath? Hey Lisa, yes, that's exactly what I do. If you're intending on selling products in different markets, I would make your seller store a bit more generic. So that might be like Lisa's Products as your seller, store seller name. And then, you could sell a yoga mat under one brand, and then you could sell a toy under another brand. But then, you've got a seller store name that is generic enough that you could actually be selling any of these products. How should I be optimizing my product listing backend, such as under keyword search terms? How can I make the most out of the character field limit, comma separated or no commas? What tools can I use to get the most relevant keywords? Thanks, Jonathan. So for those who don't know, when you create a listing, you can edit the backend and you've actually got 5 fields where you can input a whole heap of keywords to help your listing rank for those particular search terms. A common question is whether or not to put commas in between the keywords. Amazon has actually stated no, they don't want you to put commas, you just want to put a space between those keywords. My advice would be to completely fill all 5 fields with as many keywords as you can. In terms of tools that you can use to find keywords, I'd recommend keyword.io, Google Keyword Planner, and Keyword Inspector. I like Keyword Inspector because you can plug in your ASIN or your competitor's ASINs and it will give you all the top keywords that they're making sales through. So you can grab those same keywords because they're going to be relevant to your listing as well, and then put them in the back end of your listing. Jerry asks, how does a new seller determine how much inventory Amazon will receive? I've read 5,000 standard size and 500 oversize units. 500 units seems like a tough requirement to stay under with a supplier when you customize the product. Is there a cubic foot limitation? How soon can you add inventory to what you've got? Thanks, Jerry. Yes, that's correct. When you start out, you can begin with 5,000 standard size inventory and 500 oversize inventory. When it comes to standard inventory, you're most likely not going to have too many problems with hitting that limit. Generally speaking, most people probably won't order more than 1,000 or 2,000 at a time. Now, you did bring up a good point that with oversized inventory, you've got a limit of 500 units. However, in most cases, because you want to customize your product, the minimum order quantity normally goes up. So you're saying, how can you get customized inventory, when the minimum order quantity goes up, however, you're only allowed to hold up to 500 at one time. Now, I don't have any personal experience with getting in oversized units, but I have talked to suppliers about them in the past. And from my experience, what I've found is that with oversized items, they're normally going to cost a lot more. So standard size ones, you might get that product from anywhere between $3 to $5 to maybe $7 per unit. Whereas with the oversized items, they're normally going to be like $8, $10 upwards per unit. I've usually found that when the unit cost is higher, the minimum order quantity will be lower. So those suppliers are usually more open to smaller order quantities of 500 or less. However, in the event that you might have to order 1,000 units as your minimum order quantity, but you can only send in 500 at a time, what you could do is talk to the supplier about holding on to that other 500 inventory and just sending in 500 immediately and then waiting for those numbers to go down before sending in the rest. That would be the other way around this. In terms of increasing your oversize limit, Amazon have stated that you need to sell off 8% of your inventory every week for at least 9 weeks consecutive. If you do that, they will increase your inventory limit. However, you can always send more inventory into Amazon as long as you're under that limit. So that's all the questions for this week, guys. Make sure to keep sending them in. If we don't answer them on the show, we'll get back to them in the comments section. If you've enjoyed today's video, make sure to give us a thumbs up. And until next week, have an awesome time, guys. We'll see you then.